Bonneville Salt Flats lie in the far western edge of Utah, near the Nevada border, a vast, gleaming expanse that looks more like the surface of another planet than part of the American West. Covering nearly 30,000 acres, they stretch for miles in every direction, so perfectly flat and white that the line between land and sky blurs into a shimmering illusion. This stark, alien landscape is the remnant of ancient Lake Bonneville, a massive inland sea that existed during the last ice age. About 14,000 years ago, climate shifts caused the lake to shrink dramatically, leaving behind a series of smaller bodies of water, including the Great Salt Lake. As the water evaporated, it deposited layers of minerals, especially sodium chloride, which over millennia compressed into a hard, glittering crust of salt. In some areas, this crust is several inches thick, strong enough to support vehicles, yet fragile enough to be scarred by tire tracks. Despite its apparent barrenness, the salt flats are alive with subtle changes. In wet seasons, the salt crystals glisten like diamonds. In dry seasons, the surface cracks into intricate polygon patterns. The surrounding mountains, the Silver Island Range to the north, the Cedar Mountains to the south, rise in sharp contrast to the flat white expanse. The silence here can be almost unsettling. Stand still, and you'll hear nothing but the wind. The dry air carries the scent of minerals. Under the blazing summer sun, the salt reflects light so intensely it can be blinding without sunglasses, and its glare can even sunburn the underside of your chin. Temperatures often soar above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius in summer, yet in winter they can drop well below freezing. The surface is so level that differences in elevation across miles can be measured in just inches. This remarkable flatness, combined with the hard salt, makes the Bonneville Salt Flats one of the fastest natural raceways on Earth. Since the early 20th century, the flats have been synonymous with speed. In 1914, daredevil Teddy Tetzlaff drove a streamlined car here at 141 miles per hour, an astonishing feat for the time. Since then, the flats have hosted countless attempts to break land speed records. Events like Speed Week, the World of Speed, and the Bonneville Motorcycle Speed Trials attract racers from across the globe. The machines that race here, sleek, needle-like streamliners, are built for nothing but velocity, some reaching over 400 miles per hour. The air is electric during these gatherings, engines roar, salt dust swirls, and the horizon blurs as drivers push the limits of both man and machine. But the Bonneville Salt Flats aren't just for racers. In winter or after rain, a thin sheet of water covers the salt, turning the flats into an endless mirror. Mountains, clouds, and sunsets double in perfect reflection, creating scenes so surreal that photographers travel from every continent to capture them. This phenomenon is so visually striking that it has been compared to Bolivia's Sala de Uyuni, another of the world's great salt flats. Today, the Bonneville Salt Flats are protected as part of the Bonneville Salt Flats Special Recreation Management Area, ensuring that both their natural beauty and racing heritage are preserved. But they remain a fragile environment. Mining, weather changes, and overuse threaten the thickness of the salt crust, and restoration efforts are ongoing. Overlanding across the Bonneville Salt Flats is a journey unlike any other, a drive into a world where the horizon is infinite, the terrain is flawlessly level, and the ground beneath your tires crunches with the crystalline texture of ancient salt. The climate here is extreme. Sunglasses, sunscreen, and plenty of water aren't optional, they're survival essentials. At night, the temperature can drop dramatically, and the open sky reveals a staggering view of the stars, unspoiled by city lights. Camping on or near the flats is possible, but there are no services, no shade, and no natural windbreaks. Most overlanders choose nearby dispersed sites or established campgrounds, such as those near the Silver Island Mountains, where you can set up against a backdrop of rugged peaks and have easy access to the flats for daytime exploration. After hours of roaming across the endless white expanse of the Bonneville Salt Flats, you finally turn your rig toward the jagged silhouettes on the horizon, the Silver Island Mountains. The air out on the flats is still and dry, the ground beneath you smooth and solid, but as you approach the edge, the salt begins to give way to a thin crust of sand and gravel. Your tires crunch over the transition zone, a boundary between the surreal salt plain and the rugged desert foothills. The glare from the flats fades a little as you near the base of the mountains, and the ground rises in subtle waves. You spot the faint track that will lead you to camp, a dusty, rutted road that curves along the mountain's base. The drive-in is slow and steady. The path isn't technical, but it's uneven, with washboard sections that set every loose item in your vehicle rattling. The desert here smells faintly of sage and sun-baked rock. In your mirrors, the flats stretch behind you like a white sea, now catching the warm glow of late afternoon light. After a few more bends, you reach a wide, flat clearing tucked against a rise in the mountain's flank. This is your dispersed campsite, no markers, no fire rings, just an open patch of land offering a front row seat to one of Utah's most surreal landscapes. From here, you can see nearly the entire western edge of the Salt Flats. For many, the most magical moments happen at sunrise and sip pink and gold, and the mountains cast long, delicate shadows. In the evening, the sky erupts in colors, orange, crimson, violet, all mirrored perfectly on the flats if there's been recent rain. Under a clear night sky, the lack of light pollution reveals an ocean of stars, the Milky Way arching overhead like a brushstroke of silver dust.